Hello everyone and welcome to SuttonsDaze. If you're new to the channel, I hope that you enjoy what we offer. We do a lot of canning, food preservation, DIY kitchen, and preparedness. That's what we do here. I hope that you enjoy it and come back often. Today we're going to talk a little bit about being prepared. Are you prepared? Emergencies come in all shapes and sizes and vary greatly depending on your location, your age, your health situation, your financial situation, and so many other variables. If 2020 taught us nothing else, it taught us that now more than ever, we need to prepare for the possibility of disaster. All of us need to be prepared to be what I call collateral targets, okay? Those most impacted by the decisions of governments, radicals, scammers, cyber attacks. That's quite a few of us. We are the most vulnerable to all of that. We all need to become better prepared to be more self-sufficient, okay? Even if you're in the city, you can become more self-sufficient. It's not all about growing all your own food and raising your own animals. A lot of us can't do that. Some of us can. We all need to become better prepared to be more self-sufficient if the powers that be, whoever it is, suddenly decides to put a target on our backs. And I'm not saying this to fearmonger. You know me, I'm not all about fearmonger, but I'm about being prepared and being realistic. And so that's where I'm going today, okay? Because depending on where you live, you could be facing so many different things: national disasters, terrorist attacks, weather-related disasters. There are just so many variables out there, including job loss and health issues. These are the things that we prepare for. It's not always the big doomsday SHTF situation, end of the world. It's life's little emergencies, and that's what we need to prep for. So with sticking with that thought, even though it may be uncomfortable for some, and I totally understand that. So if you are like wickedly uncomfortable with this, then by all means, you know, don't undertake it. It could mentally impact you different than, you know, other people. So take some, you know, think about this a little bit. Take some time and decide if it's something that you can do. So my first task at the beginning of this series that I'm going to be conducting is to make a list of potential disasters that you should prepare for. And this is specific to you, okay? This is specific to where you are, who you are, what your situation is, how big your family is, you know, the whole deal. So if you were to sit down with a pen and paper and say, okay, I'm in Michigan, right? So earthquakes are not a real big thing around here. Fires are not a real big thing around here. As long as you don't live on the coast, flooding's not a real big thing around here lately. Those are the natural disasters. What can happen are power outages, snowstorms, ice storms. We had an ice storm here once that took the entire area out. No electricity of any kind for, I want to say it was 3 or 4 days, and it was in February. It was the first time I had ever seen thunder snow. And it was incredible and amazing to watch. I'm a storm watcher all the way. But it turned the sky green. I mean, it was just amazing. And then we lost power during one of the coldest times in February. And I learned a lot of things that month. I really did. You couldn't leave your house. Everything was ice. Everything was ice. It took forever, it felt like, to get the power back up and running. At the time, I didn't live someplace that had a wood-burning stove, so I had to figure out ways to stay warm. None of the businesses were open. No money could be made. Very little money could be spent because you just couldn't get anywhere. So these are some of the things that we have to consider as far as natural disasters go around here. Michigan is on a fault line. There are theories that eventually, one of these days, we could get really big earthquakes here. It's something to consider. It's something to think about. It's something to prepare for. While you're making your list, this should include things like cyber attacks, hazardous material accidents if you live near an expressway, a major roadway, railroad tracks, you know, chemical plants of any kind. and the breakdown of essential infrastructure, like I was talking about, electric, gas, water. If these kind of things happen or could happen, they should be added to your list and thought of as a situation to prepare for. Well, the possible scenarios are vast, seriously vast. The choices we make during them come down to two choices. You have to pick one of two choices, okay? You can either evacuate where you are, or you can stay home. You can bug in, or you can bug out. That's the choice that we have to make, and that we have to be prepared for on both fronts. Staying home is often the desirable choice. I know it's mine. In case of an emergency, this is where I want to be, unless there's absolutely no choice for me to be anyplace else. This is where my stuff is. This is where my home base is. Bugging out to a different location is not something I ever want to do. But sometimes, in some situations, I know I've got friends right now dealing with torrential rain in California, and my heart breaks for them because they had to evacuate where they were. So the issue becomes that once you leave home, you are essentially a refugee. Now, for those of us in the U.S., think about that. You're a refugee, okay? And you can quickly become reliant on the government and their multitude of bad decisions. Think Katrina and the places that they housed everyone, okay? It would bring you to be at the mercy of anyone during an emergency, and that's not the goal. Being at somebody else's mercy, whether it be an individual or an entity, is never a desired situation, and it's something that we prepare to avoid, honestly. So if you recall Katrina, there were some really horrific stories coming out of the centers that they developed for the people to stay in, the people that decided to stay or didn't have a choice but to stay. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. So what can you do to prepare so that you don't ever find yourself in that refugee status being reliant on somebody else? The biggest obstacle in any emergency is your head. It's what's in your head, in your mind. In any emergency situation, you need to be able to think clearly, independently, and calmly. And that's easier said than done. Phil can tell you firsthand that I have a shutdown mode, okay? For the number of times that I have had to be there, like when he took off his thumb, okay? I don't panic. I don't freak out. I shut down. I become very clinical and very observant. And it's not that I don't care. It's that I have to focus on how to take care of the situation that's going on right now. How to control that, or how to best control that. And then what the next step is. And then the step after that. And the step after that. I don't allow myself to freak out until it's done. Okay? And we did that like when he took off his thumb. I got the phone call. We got him in the car. We got him to the hospital. We dealt with the emergency room. We dealt with the ignorance in the emergency room. We dealt with them removing a perfectly good bandage and then telling me that I had to drive 2.5 hours to take him to a bigger hospital. I dealt with them telling me that it was going to require surgery. I dealt with trying to stay awake during all of that and worrying about him in there and what was going to be done, and worrying about, what was happening at home, and worrying about how we were going to deal with this moving forward. That is how I deal with it. I internalize it all, and I work through the process, okay? I managed, to stay awake. I managed somehow to drive us home in the middle of the night because, of course, they don't keep you for anything in the hospital anymore. I managed to think of the questions to ask and to remind them that they're there for us. So when I thought that we were being ignored, and it takes a bit to get me there, when I thought that we were being ignored, I gave the push and said, somebody needs to do something now, okay? So having the ability to stop and clearly think about what's going on, not to panic. If you panic and go all willy-nilly and crazy and screaming, you're not helping anyone, especially not yourself. You need to be able to react to situations clearly and calmly and intelligently. Again, that's easier said than done. Confusion during an emergency is normal. It's absolutely normal. But you need to be able to think for yourself. You need to be able to make rational decisions and decide if the information you're getting is conflicting, and if it's incorrect, and if the decisions are incorrect, or if they're incorrect for you. You need to be able to disseminate that and think for yourself. And sometimes you need to be able to say, no, that's not the way it's going to happen. Learn to trust your intuition and to make decisions. It's not an easy thing, and for some people, it may not be possible at all. But it's something that you need to work towards, that instead of panicking, you calmly try to figure out what is going on, find out the best resource for information, and go for there. Monitor the TV and the radio, to some extent the internet, okay? Don't assume that you're being given the correct information. Make your own decisions based on the information that you're hearing, the information that you're seeing, your gut instinct, okay? Listen to your gut instinct and your plans and your preparations. If you have no plans and no preparations, then it's going to be very difficult to make those hard decisions during an emergency. However, if you plan for them, if you prepare for them ahead of time, while you're not going to cover every base, you're going to have the framework there to make better decisions during that emergency. I think that that is one of the hardest things to come to terms with, that at the end of the day, the responsibility is yours. And that comes down to literally everything that you're doing, okay? If you are reacting without having plans and preparedness in place, preparations in place, then it's your responsibility for not having those in place. It's your responsibility now, if you're just coming onto this as a lifestyle, to learn to make those plans, to learn to educate yourself. And by all means, do not just ensconce yourself in all of this doom and gloom. Don't panic about every little thing. I'm hearing just an amazing amount of stuff that quite honestly is out there simply to get attention, okay? Prepare for those things that you are aware of. You cannot be aware of everything. Every situation is completely different. Every area is completely different in the way that you deal with it. And because we're us, we are all completely different and have different capabilities for handling all situations. There are some people that are really great at organizing. There are some people really great at being calm. There are some people really great about being strong, but not necessarily leading. So you need to figure out where your skills are and be realistic. Work towards your goals, but be realistic. If you're of my age group or higher, okay, then you're realizing there are certain things that you just are not going to be able to be prepared for. When I say that being home is my preferred situation, seriously, I don't know at this point what I would do if I would have to leave home. Our buddy, Jump Off a Cliff, he doesn't have a channel. He's just involved in our chats, and he's a great friend. I just adore him. He is amazing and intelligent. And he shared with us an experience that they had in California with the fires, and how while everyone else was panicking, he went and got a U-Haul. And then he proceeded to start filling the U-Haul with the important things that were necessary, the valuables, the things that help sustain life, the clothing, you know, all of that stuff that we need. He was filling that U-Haul while everyone else was sitting around going, what are we going to do? That is what being prepared allows you to do. It allows you to act in a timely manner on the off chance that you actually do have to leave. Be prepared to leave. Know what you need. Know where it is. Know how much of it you have. And then be ahead of the curve. Listen to your intuition. I would rather spend the money on a U-Haul and have it all stocked up and find out I don't have to leave, than find out that there's not even a U-Haul available for me to get. Okay? So you need to be able to jump on a situation at the onset of it, not after it's already too late and the rest of the world has decided, oh no, what are we going to do? So are you prepared for the situations most common in your area? Leave me a comment in the comment section below and let me know where you think you're at with your preparedness situation for your area. Do you get hurricanes? Do you get tornadoes frequently? Do you get a lot of flooding? Are there fires? Are there landslides? What is your situation, and what kind of things do you think you need to be prepared for? Throw a list down below, because you might trigger something in somebody else to say, oh gosh, that actually happens here too. I should really make a list of that and what I would do. We're a community. We all help each other. And this is the way that I think is a great way to help each other, to spur each other on, and to say, this is what I need to be aware of in my situation. And maybe it'll help somebody else think of what they have in their situation. We are going to have one video a week, every week, dealing with preparedness. I will create a playlist specifically for it. And I hope that you tune in and check with them. I hope that you come along for the ride with us and try to see how you can best prepare for you and yours in your situation. Remember, everybody's different. I can't tell you everything that you're going to need if you have a family of 5 or 7 or 10. I can't tell you what you're going to need if you're in hurricane country or if you're in an area that floods regularly, okay? I can tell you what you might need here in Michigan, but not everybody's from Michigan. So it's all about you, and the more that you share about the things that you think you need to prepare for, the more you're helping a lot of other people. So if you will drop those in the comment section, that would be great. And I hope that you stick with us for this series of preparedness. Until next time, remember, if you like what we do here, please hit that like, subscribe, and share. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Take a deep breath and be safe.